We live?
We are live. Yo, what's up, everybody? It is July 30th, Wednesday. We've got a bunch. We got a good show coming to you. We've got EPR regulations. What are they? We've got our friend Liz Morris coming on from Anthesis Group, and I don't know. We talked about this yesterday. We touched on EPR. We had a bunch of questions. People asked, so we brought an expert because we don't have the answers. Corey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Excited for this show. Really looking forward to learning from an expert on EPR. It's such a big topic, and I'm a sponge. I want to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're also going to do
Can We Solve It?
Yeah, we're also going to do Can We Solve It? So ask your questions there, and if you stump us, then you get a shirt. But Adam, man, what do you think about the show?
StreamYard has lost but we click here. I'm not on LinkedIn anymore.
Good.
StreamYard has lost access to my LinkedIn account. What if I click this? Do you think it takes me away?
Yeah, you'll get bumped for sure.
It did that to me yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, should I try?
Yeah, we'll bump you. You set that up, and then we're gonna bring Liz on.
Oh wait, no, it's not bumping me. Hello.
Good morning, Liz.
Good morning, Liz.
Thank you for having me today.
No, thanks for being on. We're super excited. I mean, we're gonna if you make packaging, if you buy packaging, or if you design packaging, I think like this is the show that you need to be listening to right now, because like this is a non-negotiable.
Right.
So yeah, like real quick, Liz, can you give us like a quick rundown of who you are and what Anthesis Group does?
Yeah. So I'm Liz. I am from Anthesis Group. I am a packaging engineer with about 15 plus years of experience. Recently, somebody just used that to calculate my age, which really freaked me out.
You started when you were 5, right? So you're
yes. But I have a vast variety of experiences within packaging, from everything from having my own business to working in food packaging for Kraft Heinz for when they were, or Kraft Foods when they were Kraft Foods, to managing Tiffany's packaging program, and then coming to Anthesis, which is a sustainability consulting firm that handles a variety of needs related to both sustainability compliance and regulation work, helping you figure out then how to take that information and actually improve and enhance your products, packaging, circularity, business, governance, all the things. And then really making sure that it's also helping to, really following the 3 Ps of that triple bottom line of also helping to look at it from a cost savings. And my area of specialty is packaging and EPR.
Nice.
Can I ask a question real quickly before this is what all the people want to know? Liz, were you ever running late for work one morning and you're driving in and you're like, I didn't get to eat, but I thought, what about breakfast at Tiffany's? Did you ever have that? Sorry. I'm sorry.
I did. Sadly, though, that would have been on the subway. And clearly you know me because we just met, but I consistently run late to everything.
Nice job.
Oh, the jokes only get worse from me, Liz. So that was my best one of the day.
That's all right.
Perfect.
But all right. So real quick, we talked about EPR yesterday, but I think it's a good like reset. What is EPR? Liz, what do you like? What's the easy explanation for EPR at this point?
Yeah, sure. It is. I mean, the definition is extended producer responsibility, but in reality, what it is the idea is that we're taking the infrastructure and the responsibility of recycling, reuse, reduce, all the things, and instead of putting it onto the consumer is putting it back onto the producer and putting that responsibility there to help fund it. And so it's essentially a tax and fee on companies to help improve infrastructure within the states for recycling.
And is it a push away from plastics?
I don't see it that way.
Mm.
It's to improve your packaging, right? Because in a lot of situations, we know that, monomaterials cycle than multi-layer materials. And so that doesn't mean different plastic. It doesn't mean don't use plastic. It means use perhaps a different plastic than you're using. Be able to come up with solutions that would be more recyclable.
Okay.
Am I allowed to ask a question of Elio, or
both of everybody?
I just thought maybe we were just pretty faces down here on the bottom of the screen.
You are.
You look good today, Adam.
Thank you. I feel good. Yeah. Liz, so I've got this tub here, right? This is let's see, Berry Plastics. I think it's a polypropylene tub, and we've got 3 labels on it, right? So in EPR, I do get asked this question a lot, which is, if this label, let's say this is a polypropylene and this is a PET label. It's not. This is a polypropylene label, a polypropylene tub. But if it were, is that in an EPR situation, is this just considered the container, or do they consider the label and the container separate? Or how does that work when you're decorating, especially like something like food packaging, when it comes to EPR?
Great question.
Great question. And I should caveat here, I am not a lawyer. So anything I say is not legal advice. This is just how we are interpreting this. But you, as a brand or a company, you should definitely make sure that you are confirming anything with your legal team.
100%.
How often do you have to say that every day, Liz?
Pretty much every day. It's my standard. It's like, hi, I'm Liz, and I'm not a lawyer.
I'm not a lawyer.
But to answer that question, is
We'll make you a t-shirt.
Yeah, right. You should consider the weight of the label when you're doing this. So that should be part of your packaging BOM. However, it would be part of, you wouldn't put it as a label unless it was separable. So the main question to ask yourself is, if I am recycling this as a consumer, because we're also all consumers to make this easy, am I going to take the time to rip off that label when I recycle it? And if the answer is no, which in the case of that container, the answer is no, you should definitely include the weights, but you would count it as the polypropylene material that you had.
Okay, so even if the materials are different,
it's because it's where it's going to end up in the waste stream.
Okay, got it. Cool.
So all right? So then, if you were going to remove it, then you would count that as a separate item. But since you're not going to remove it, it all counts towards the weight of the one.
Yeah.
And then would there be higher fees on that if it's 2 separate materials, or lower fees if they're both the same kind of, or does it matter?
So it actually depends on the materials you're using. So it's a hard answer, because in some cases it might be that's depending on how the state has set their fees, that the label may be a lower fee if you were separating it. But you should really think about it from the point of view from where is it going to end up, since that's the intention.
We had a debate yesterday about the backer material of the labels. So as a producer, you're manufacturing goods like this. Yeah. So the backer material that Adam's showing, is that considered? Do you have to account for that weight of material? Because as we know, most of that will end up in the landfill.
That is true. So my understanding is no, because it's not what's going home with the consumer.
Okay.
And that's considered manufacturing waste. But sorry, Adam, I did not hear you.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm sorry. I just said I've heard the same thing as well, that the label liner is considered manufacturing waste, but it's under consideration for future EPR, because there are recyclable alternatives to help encourage, for example, yes. So current state is no, it does not count. Future state is it may be considered, is what I heard. And
to be honest, it's going to really depend on the state, not the right? Because
Right.
even like Oregon to Colorado have been vastly different in what's included, even though fundamentally they both say they include packaging paper and food service ware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, and like one question that comes to mind immediately on EPR is, because it's extended producer, like what defines a producer, right? So if a manufacturer delivers packaging to a state like Colorado, are they considered the producer, or is that fall on the brand who owns the IP?
So it's who is directing the production. So if I'm the brand and I'm asking you to produce 1,000 of something, I'm responsible, and it's special and unique to me. That's
Because you're the
one
one that's shipping it into the consumer's hands, right?
Exactly, right. And I'm directing the packaging. If I am buying a generic, let's say a fork from you, a plastic fork. I know that you are especially adept at designing forks for here. That would be actually, if it's a generic item that I'm not directing, I'm just ordering from you, I would not be responsible for that. But once again, it depends on the state and the regulation. So for Colorado, that's the situation.
So that becomes the producer of that is the one that sold it to the company that will ship it.
Exactly. Except
interesting.
Even more complex. If you want to go crazier. Let's say though, in Colorado, B2B sales are supposed to be excluded. This is only B2C business. So therefore, but if that fork is going home with the customer, you should still be reporting on the forks that are going home with the customer, which gives little insight to that producer. Because they are probably 2 or 3 steps removed from that. Right. Getting that data is going to be nearly impossible. So I think more clarity is going to need to come out around that, because guaranteed companies are not, the producers are not, they wouldn't know what to actually do. And for states like California, we're still waiting on full clarity into their regulation, which should be coming out mid-September.
We need some fork and clarity is what we need.
That's right.
Yes. And I don't believe, and right, and different items are included in different places. So the fork is Colorado and Oregon specific.
It's like WTF, what the fork, right, guys?
Why the fork? Why the fork, everybody?
But all right, so then as a manufacturer, if you're making like just blank RSC corrugated boxes that the brand is using for e-commerce, right? Or just, RELF box, whatever. Even though they're placing that order, but then they're using for their e-com, because it's a generic product, they're not responsible for that, but the manufacturer is.
In theory, e-com is a little bit different. Because you're the one shipping it to the consumer as an e-com packaging, that brown box should still be, you should be including it, but it's only for what's going to the consumer, not e-com. My understanding is no e-com from B2B sales. So if you're an online retailer that maybe has a lot of B2B, like an office supply company, right? B2B in theory shouldn't be included.
Okay.
It sounds.
But,
go ahead, Avilia. Sorry.
No. I was just agreeing. So go ahead, Adam.
It sounds to me like the early stages of EPR are going to be filled with a lot of either overpaying or underpaying of fees because of the lack of clarity state to state. Is that? I mean, I'm guessing that's where people and groups like yourself come in, where it's like, no, it's my job to actually help you navigate to exactly what it is that you should be paying.
Right.
That's what we're trying to accomplish. Because I can only imagine if these brands are left to themselves, and I'm talking about large CPG companies I've talked with who are like, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
they have lawyers on staff, they have sustainability teams, they have people to collect data, they have teams of packaging engineers, and they're just like,
it's spending the time. We spend all of our time every day just reading, going through the bits of information that we're getting from, lots of information that we get from CAA, from the regulations, to really understand what should be included, what shouldn't be included. CAA is a wealth of information, but it's a wealth. There's a lot of information that comes out that takes some digging through. And, but that said, not a lawyer once again, so we can advise on what we would suggest, but it's how their legal team is comfortable with, and that level of risk. But it is really complex, and that's what we're here for, right? Is we're teams of packaging experts here, packaging engineers who we know materials, we can read SKUs, we can read BOMs to really be able to interpret and understand even your data to get there.
Okay. So do you know how many people have signed up? I mean, what percentages are we at? Like for Oregon, I think the last number I heard was like 20% of producers have signed up. Is it?
I know it was less than what they were expecting, but I don't know the exact percentages. And that caused actually the fees in Oregon to be higher than were originally projected.
Oh, wow.
Because they got less materials than less weights than they were expecting from their baseline.
Oh, interesting.
But more and more companies are filing every day, so they are expecting those actual base rates to come down for the invoices for next year.
Good.
Wow. Now, and just kind of going back to the BOM question, if we're looking at if you're looking at all the data that you're supposed to collect on your packaging, and kind of like going back to Adam's container example with the sticker on it, what exactly?
And you know it.
Oh,
you know what?
Label.
Right. You know what? Because of that, I'm out.
All right. So what exactly do brands need to collect from their manufacturers with is an A BOM enough, like an average BOM enough? Or is it by SKU, or do we need to track the handle, the foil stamp, like glue dots, magnets, in each component?
I would suggest a full BOM for each packaging item from their suppliers, not just mainly because the more accurate your data is, the better chance you have of then really understanding how to manage this for your fees, and then also understand where are your problematic materials and driving your fees, that you can then start to really adjust to make sure that long term, not only are you meeting targets, because legislation, SB 54 out of California has targets built into it for increasing recyclability of your packaging. So therefore, and then also other states have what's called legal moderation, which is the way to be able to decrease your fees by making those improvements. So if you don't have a full BOM, it's really hard to understand where those changes can actually. And so that's actually, I think the hardest bit is for most companies, at least in my experience, ERP systems were set up for products, not necessarily in packaging BOMs, and they don't have that data. They rely on suppliers, and getting that data has been really difficult. And that's where I'll make another plug for my group, is we come in is strictly with suppliers to help collect that data, and to also help apply industry proxies and really understanding, how to get to what makes up an item. I can't tell you how many times I've sat on my floor taking apart a package. Recently building out BOMs.
I've heard in Oregon, you can even do a life cycle analysis and save a significant amount of money for your company in fee reduction.
There is, and that's actually, we're asking more information about that because the cap is at 20,000 per,
Mhm.
and it's not clear if that's per SKU or per.
20,000 and a fee reduction for
Yep.
for the producer.
Yep, but we're not sure if it's capped per SKU or it's you can do it for up to 10 SKUs. So then that would make it 200,000.
Oh wow.
That
The
could
way
be
it's worded in the regulation, it sounds like 200,000, up to 200,000.
So do they have to perform the LCA, the life cycle analysis, and then determine if their packaging should be changed, or what's the idea there behind that?
Yeah, so the idea is that if you're doing an LCA, you at least start to really understand the impact of all the materials from, and this is usually it's cradle to grave, so you're understanding the effects of the transit, the manufacturing process, all aspects of it. And so the top 1% of producers in Oregon will be required to do them.
Okay.
But for all other producers, it would be voluntary, and then to get the reduction in fee. The trick is it does have to be an ISO compliant with certain pieces in it, which then requires third-party verification. So there is does it make sense depending for you to do? Because while it gives you really good information, if it doesn't make economic sense, like that's important too. There's
like
other
it's
ways.
Too expensive to run it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it could be. It depends. And then it depends
so many
on
things to
actually
think
that
about.
cap.
Incredible.
Right? But if you're able to, but they also have bonus B coming in. Sorry.
What's that called?
Bonus B. So bonus A
B
is just reporting your LCA. Bonus B is actually using an LCA to show your impact. So actually making the changes, and the cap is higher. So therefore, it might make sense to do it for bonus B to run the before and after. And you only can do, my understanding is for a single SKU, you can do either A or B. You can't do both. You don't get 2 credits.
Wow. That's amazing. I hadn't heard that word, bonus B. Yeah, that's
neat. I believe Oregon is bonus A, B, and C. I don't.
But Corey lives in Seattle, so he's not
right. Oh, mind your tongue, sir.
Okay with that. Tsunami.
Oh my God,
we're safe here. No, I'm in Portland. He's giving me a bad time.
Yeah. I've got 2 questions here. One is, aren't fees right now based on weight and material, or is that going to be calculated at a component level or the weight of, like, say, a bag or a box? So is it like the full weight of the product, or is it like if we're measuring at how many magnets we have in this or how many pieces of this we have in each pack, is that separated and weighed independently or as a whole?
It should be the weight of each component.
Okay. So when you're getting specs from your supplier, let's say there's magnets in there, it's not just this is how many magnets are. It's like this is the weight, total weight, and then the breakdown by weight.
Great point.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you really want really detailed information.
Like you were saying, Liz, you're cutting packaging apart on your floor, weighing the separate pieces. Wow.
Yeah, to really understand, because that the better data we have, the better data that we're then able to make the right changes. Because maybe we uncover, like, magnets. I love magnets packaging. Don't get me wrong, very fun, but is not separable. So therefore, that's going to hurt the recyclability of it. And so, really understanding maybe there's a different locking or closing mechanism that can be as innovative and exciting as a magnet that could do this as well. And we can't determine that unless we know its impact.
Have you seen any changes from your clients in regards to what I'm asking is, are there any positive effects you've seen from EPR yet? Like a reduction in plastic or this or that?
The biggest positive effect is that people are starting to think about it. Right? Like, that this is now a topic of conversation. And, I joke a lot that the reason most packaging people get into sustainability is that we're asked to make a cost reduction somewhere from somebody, and then marketing finds out that we've gotten rid of a plastic bag to reduce that by 5 cents.
Yeah.
And marketing finds out and they're like, that's a great story that we should tell. And all of a sudden we're now sustainable packaging engineers.
Yeah.
So that's but that's the biggest impact, I think, is really understanding what's in your packaging right now. We are starting to get a lot of requests for risk assessments to understand where, and helping to identify those biggest drivers of fees, so that way we can really start to identify what are the low-hanging fruit for changes, how quickly we can implement that to start driving those changes, because you will find, especially with SB 54, with the targets, non-compliance does have a hefty fee.
Okay.
In California.
And just looking at some of the questions coming in here, we've got Clayton asking, in general, like what magnitude of financial impact can a large CPG company expect once those EPR fees are incorporated across every state?
Great question.
Great question.
Is there a maximum fee?
Not that I know of.
Oh my.
Wow.
So it can be large, and we're right now it's 3 states this year. There may be early fees in Minnesota and California for next year. Maine will come online next year. And then Washington will come online, I believe, the following year. So, and I believe there's additional states that all have this in process. Similar, I think, to cannabis legalization. Once states figured out that there were tax benefits to the state,
right,
more states started passing it.
Funny how this is going to work, right?
Yeah.
Seems like a cash grab for some.
And hopefully it is for investment into recycling infrastructure, right? And to improve that. And that's really important, because, to be honest, we're not going to reach some of these PCR goals without having that recycling infrastructure here.
Yeah. But going back to like the separable component, like ink, for example, right? That's not separable. Like, are we measuring inks? Are we?
I don't think they are. That's just part of the label.
Yeah. So like a foil stamp or something, we're not measuring how much foil is on a particular component either. Like there's gotta be like a limit.
There is. Foil is a category, but stamps have been, that's going to be considered just part of the bag or part of the box type situation.
It's probably good.
Because you obviously you can't take apart that stamp, but that should be a consideration. You should understand that's on your packaging, because that does impact if the whole thing is covered in stamps,
right?
Maybe there's a manufacturing process change we can look at to make that more recyclable. It's the percentage that's the issue.
That's an interesting point, because at a certain percentage of foil stamping on a container, it becomes you can't repulp it, right? It's
exactly.
I've heard, at least that's what I've heard.
It's like 40% or something, and it's that as it scans through at the MRF, it'll probably register as plastic or metallic versus paper, and that's where that. Right, so that ends up landfilling. I think I got one more question here from Clayton, and thanks, Liz. I appreciate you for being on here. And if anyone wants to learn more, go follow her and go check out anthesisgroup.com.
We're always happy to have a conversation with any, more individualized conversation with anyone.
Thank you.
Perfect. So from Clayton again, for laminated film structures like LDPE, metallized OPP, EVOH, OPP, do you need to report each material weight independently? Or because it's inseparable, does it get reported? And I think that's like the big questions. Like, at what point is it?
No, that would be considered a multi-layer film. You would definitely, that's one weight. You're not breaking apart each of the component of that. Sorry, that's way too detailed.
It's landfill.
Good point.
Yep.
Yeah, and multi-layer laminates is actually the first thing I worked on at Craft. Is definitely not recyclable, but because they're materials, but you would go off that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And and Hugh, you're right. So like you nailed it. It's just one. No, that's awesome. And typically on Wednesdays we do this thing that we call Can We Solve It? Where people ask questions, and if we can't solve it, they get a shirt. So Liz, we want to ask you to be a part of this. And see, we've got a question from the audience. So real quick. If you've got a packaging question out there, go ahead and throw it in the comments or DM, text any one of us. And then if we can't solve it, you get a shirt. It won't have Anthesis on the shirt, unfortunately, but maybe next time.
SmartSolve, brought to you by SmartSolve.
Yeah, brought to you by the team at SmartSolve. I guess like one other question that I've got here for you, Liz, is if a manufacturer signs up with the CAA as a producer, does it create a conflict for the brand that they're producing for? Could they potentially be hit with double fees?
I think that's where you need to talk to each other and make sure, right, there is, my understanding, no penalty for registering.
Okay.
Right. And it's actually pretty good to register just in general, because that way you're at least protecting yourself to know, and then you can always give evidence as to why you wouldn't be reporting something, or if you're excluded. But it's good just to know you're getting stuff into the state. But that's where you should be talking to make sure you're not double counting, and also really we're happy to work with both groups to really help understand where your, who is the producer that's liable. So that way, you're not double counting, because that's not the purpose of this, is to double count. Our goal is to help you reduce fees.
And if you're a manufacturer supplier, I know Corey with like Atlantic Packaging or me with IDP Direct, if we're signing up for this, are we opening up the brands that we work with that maybe have not signed up? Or are we opening them up for any potential issues?
Once again, not a lawyer. That's definitely a legal question. But I wouldn't say so, because you're not listing who you work with, right? You're listing if you are the owner of that brand.
Good point.
So I don't think they would have a way of necessarily tracking that back.
Okay. So when we're signing up, as this is the packaging that we're supplying, right? And it's kind of like the master cartons, the shipping cartons, because that's what we're moving our goods in. It's not what's contained within. And then whatever's contained within is the property of the brand. They're the producer of that piece. And I think that's kind of like the tertiary packaging. I think some states count that and some states don't count that.
Exactly. Right. So Oregon counted it, or at least they wanted to know it. They didn't. They had some reporting on it that they didn't charge a fee for. In some cases, but Colorado is not including it at all. So California, I believe it is included, but we'll have to see when the guidance comes out.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. It's crazy that we can launch regulation state by state and then not have like a cohesive plan. Right. It just makes it so confusing. And if every state has their own version of this, it just becomes, it makes it so difficult for brands.
It makes it tricky to navigate, but I'll be honest, it keeps me employed. No. No. It is
you and a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's a whole new field for companies, but it is important to really understand these regulations, because companies can either underreport, overreport. Getting it right is really difficult, and navigating it is hard. And I would say, as somebody who's worked on this, done sustainability reporting as part of the request from packaging rules, is it becomes a on top of job. So I'm scrambling to do it, in addition to all my other responsibilities. It's probably not the thing I'm paying the most attention to, because it's also a different mindset, right? If I'm going from packaging floor to a spreadsheet to a, I'm not having time to read the full regulation.
No.
And that does put a company at risk.
No. And then that's why they should definitely reach out to a company like yours where this is all you do. Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And you can guide brands into like what materials, like what they should be checking, what they shouldn't be checking, opportunities, maybe some stuff that overlaps, some efficiencies. And I think brands right now should be considering how to redesign, not necessarily redesigning yet, because things are going to continue to change.
Right.
Yes. Like what's the low hanging fruit? Yeah.
You know,
Is it magnets?
Colored PET bottles versus non-colored PET bottles.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
You know, so what is the opportunity to shift your packaging into clear or natural colored PET from colored? And there's an impact on brand perspective, but what else can you then work with your packaging groups, to your packaging designers and your manufacturers to still get that brand aesthetic that you're looking for, but by moving your material changes. Lightweighting materials, where's there opportunity to do that? You know, so often we say something needs a shelf life of 2 years, but how do we pick that? So is there an opportunity to also look at supply chain to understand
I love that.
where some of that comes from, to understand if we can then move to something that doesn't need to be as restrictive if you're looking at a food packaging perspective.
Perfect. Amazing.
But that we can help with that. That's what we do all day long.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely go check out anthesisgroup.com. Liz, thank you so much for hopping on here and answering our goofy questions, because there's so much information out there that it can definitely be overwhelming for brands. And like we've said, we're not experts, so it's great to have an expert on to share and
Thanks, Liz.
answer some of these questions.
Happy to come answer anytime. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, of course. We're going to go ahead and wrap that up. If you got any more questions,